Hey, Julianne. Hello, Tony Monty. How are you? Hold on, I have to go over here. Okay. Where's everybody? It says we have viewers and we only have, where's our chatters? What is with everybody? Oh, there's Tracy. There's Marianne Frontini. Debbie D. Hello. Hi, Monolane. Hi, Jess Ruby. Hi, Shay. Hi, Sassy Darcy. Jackie Burns. Linda Galb. Janae. I have to send your money back. First off, if we're doing that, it's going to another PayPal account. I can't have money commingled in my PayPal account. Can't do it. That gives me extreme anxiety. So I am going to refund that to you. And should we do it, it's going to go in a completely different account with nothing else in it. So I'm going to refund that to you, Janae. And I'll do that in a little bit here. Hi, Dandy. Let me go. So let's take a look at the true crime headlines here. So big mass shooting outside of Sacramento. And let's see here. Police have not determined what sparked this deadly shooting in the streets of Sacramento on early Sunday morning. It was terrifying, and it left 6 people dead on the roadways, and it was a mess of blood and glass. Sacramento Police Chief Kathy Lester said that 3 men and 3 women have died, and that the shooting broke out after a large fight, although it's unclear how the fight was related to the shooting. 12 others were wounded and taken to the hospital. 7 of the wounded were transported by emergency services, and 4 of those were listed in critical condition. Police have a stolen handgun that was found at the scene, but no suspects were in custody. Late in the afternoon, investigators confirmed that several shooters were involved. Chief Lester said it was a very complex and complicated scene, and investigators were covering a 2-by-4 block area on 10th Street from K to L and at 12th and K Streets. Right now, our investigators are arriving at the scene, she said, several hours after the shooting. This is very preliminary. Police set up a website for witnesses to upload videos and photos of the scene, even providing QR codes so witnesses could reach the site easily. And this is what they put out there. The city also opened City Hall for family members of possible victims to gather. Police said officers on patrol near the area, which is a popular section that hosts several nightclubs. It's near Sacramento City Hall, the California State Capitol, Golden One Center, the home of the Sacramento Kings NBA team. And the police said officers on patrol heard gunshots at about 2 a.m. and they responded and found a large crowd. Video that was been posted to Twitter showed crowds of people that were running from the scene with the sound of rapid gunshots in the background. At least 2 victims have been positively identified by family members, although no names have been released. Sacramento Mayor Darrell Steinberg and City Council members spoke with reporters about a block from the scene, saying, "This morning our city has a broken heart. This is a senseless and unacceptable tragedy. Our community deserves better than this," said a tearful councilwoman, Katie Valenzuela. So let's see over here. We know that a large fight took place. That's what they know. Family members who had amassed around the cordoned-off streets said the shooting erupted as bars and clubs were letting out for the night. Relatives and social media pointed to videos that showed bodies on the sidewalk after gunfire appeared to come from calls speeding north on 10th Street. Sacramento police said they're aware of social media videos, including one that appears to show an altercation that preceded the shooting. We are currently working to determine what, if any, relation these events have to the shooting. A law enforcement source said authorities were investigating whether automatic weapons were involved and had begun studying downtown cameras and license plate readers for potential clues. The police chief called it a really tragic, unfortunate situation. She called it a complex and complicated scene that was secure, but she appealed to the public for help in identifying the suspects. If anyone saw anything, has video that can provide any information to the police department, we are asking for their assistance. Okay, let's see. After more than 2 years of empty streets and withering commerce, California's capital city seemed to be getting back to its pre-pandemic self this week. There were thousands that turned out for a concert at the downtown Golden One Center featuring Tyler, the creator, and crowds filled the nearby bars, which spilled out into the spring night. But an explosion of violence with echoes across the country brought that to an end. The buoyant mood was shattered early Sunday with a barrage of gunfire as guests were leaving nightclubs. At least 6 were killed, 12 were wounded in the largest mass shooting in Sacramento history. It appeared to span a 2-square-block area of downtown Sacramento, not far from the Capitol building. Happened shortly after 2 a.m. At a news conference on Sunday, Chief Lester said that when officers on patrol responded to the scene, they found a large crowd and at least a half a dozen people shot in a really tragic situation. Additional gunshot victims had driven themselves to the hospital or had been taken there. Two bicyclists who had been riding downtown when the shooting occurred said they had just passed the clubs when they heard the gunfire. There was a huge crowd on K Street, said one, who would identify himself only as Tom S. He said that he and his fellow cyclist immediately turned and rode back. Video they shot at the scene showed a swarm of police and emergency vehicles, their lights flashing, although the police chief said that 3 men and 3 women who were killed were all adults and were declared dead at the scene. The cyclist added that they saw young people being put into ambulances. A homeless woman in a wheelchair who was camped out near the city hall said she heard gunshots. I was in a little pup tent, said the woman, whose name was Mary, and I didn't come out. Officials have not released further details about the victims or their conditions. Behind yellow police tape on Sunday, the sidewalks outside the clubs were covered in shattered glass and littered with dozens of bullet casings as police sifted through what Chief Lester described as a complex crime scene. I've got a son down there under a blanket, said Fred Harris, 63, a Sacramento resident. He said he had been awakened in the middle of the night by a phone call from his daughter, who was sobbing, saying that his son, Sergio Harris, 38, was among those killed. That's Letitia Harris, the wife of Sergio Harris at the scene. Her husband was killed in the shooting. I said, whoa, no, Mr. Harris said. She said, put your clothes on, and I'll meet you down there. He said his son had just been at a club called El Santo Ultra Lounge when the shooting started. Letitia Harris, 35, the wife of Sergio Harris, said that he was a landscaper with 3 children between the ages of 5 and 11. He was a happy guy, a family guy, loved his kids, she said. He was just having fun at a pub. Barry Asius, who's a local community activist and the founder of Voice of Youth, which supports youth mentorship and gun violence intervention programs, says he received a text from an official moments after the shooting, alerting him that several people had been killed, and he said he got to the scene around 2:30 a.m. and saw a woman covered in blood. "My sister is dead," he heard her scream, as the authorities raced to treat the seriously wounded. The man said he heard a woman crying as she walked past the yellow crime scene tape, asking where her son was. Another woman, he said, approached him and talked about her sister's last breath in her arms. The mass shooting was the second in just over a month in Sacramento. In late February, a father killed his 3 young daughters, a chaperone and himself, in a church during a supervised custody visitation. Sunday's death toll was the highest in the state in a single event since last year, when 10 people were fatally shot in San Jose. Although police won't say what type of gun had been recovered, the Sacramento County District Attorney said that the number of illegal guns in the communities across the country is staggering. That's very sad, very sad. Okay, and if you missed I'm just going to recap that Cassie Carli's body has been found, and there's a whole video on it that you can watch. It was found in a barn in Alabama in a shallow grave. Her phone was found as well. Her ex-boyfriend, father of her 4-year-old daughter, is under arrest. They arrested him Saturday night in Tennessee. He's not arrested for her murder yet. There's an autopsy that's going to be performed tomorrow, and then there's probably going to be additional charges going. But you should watch the video on that case because it has a lot of information in it. All right, so let's talk about this now. An Illinois man suspected of killing his ex-girlfriend and her sister on Saturday died Sunday from wounds that he suffered when a state trooper shot him after a pursuit later in the day. Jamie Joyner, 30, and her sister Jessica Joyner, 34, were found dead outside the rural home Jamie had shared with Adam Cobb, 32, before she broke up with him. Police say that Jessica had flown to Illinois from California to help her sister move out of the house. The two arrived Saturday morning with a U-Haul truck and another vehicle, but became embroiled in an argument with Cobb, who shot them both along with a family dog. You could hear a person in the background screaming, then a couple of what appears to be gunshots in the background, said the Madison County Sheriff's Department Major Jeff Connor. Connor said deputies and police officials from the Collingsville Police Department initially believed they were dealing with a barricaded gunman, but Cobb had fled the scene by the time they arrived. State police said they sent out a bulletin about Cobb at about 11:15 a.m. Officers spotted him near Hillsborough, about 50 miles from Collingsville, just after 1 p.m., and initiated a pursuit along with Illinois State Police troopers. The pursuit continued for another 40 minutes before Cobb's vehicle became partially disabled, and he stopped. According to the state police, Cobb got out of his vehicle and pointed a gun at a state trooper who shot him. He was taken to a hospital with serious life-threatening injuries and died at about 4:40 a.m. on Sunday morning. The trooper involved in the shooting has not been named, but state police say the investigation into that part of the incident will be turned over to the Christian County State's Attorney's Office. Okay, so we have this here. The state of Oklahoma is seeking the death penalty in the triple homicide case against a former Oklahoma City attorney and her boyfriend for the killing of his ex-girlfriend and her parents. Keegan Harrows and Barry Rowland Titus II are accused of killing Titus's ex-girlfriend Tiffany Eicher and her parents, Jack Chandler and Kay Chandler, in September of 2019. And that's weird she's Kay Chandler because that is a woman that used to be on The Young and the Restless. That was her character. Harrows and Titus were previously considered persons of interest in the home invasion and murders of Eicher and her parents. Investigators say that Titus and Harrows, who was an attorney, and 43-year-old Eicher were embroiled in a volatile love triangle. Harrows was representing Titus after he was accused by Eicher, his ex-girlfriend, of threatening to kill her and her family. Eicher and her parents, 65-year-old Jack Chandler and 69-year-old Evelyn Chandler, were later murdered by two masked killers at their home in Baggs. And let's see, this is a photo from Oklahoma News 4. Up there. Those are the three killed. However, it would be a year and a half before charges were filed. Keegan Harrows and Barry Titus are both facing 3 counts of premeditated murder and 1 count of burglary in the first degree. And now the state is seeking the death penalty for the 2 investigators say are responsible. So let's, what is this now? This is a bill of particulars. Okay, and bill of particulars. Let's see what this is here. I want this. Hello. Oh, silly me. Silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids. So this is State of Oklahoma versus Keegan Lee Kelly Harrows. I, Carol Iske, the undersigned district attorney for the 25th district. Okay. She do hereby give the court to know and be informed that 3 counts of the offense of murder in the first degree, as charged within the original and or any amended complaint and information, were committed by the defendant Keegan Lee Kelly Harrows. The undersigned further states that the defendant should be punished by death due to and as a result of the following aggravating circumstances as set forth by law, to wit: 1. The defendant knowingly created a great risk of death to more than one person, Jack Randall Chandler, Evelyn K. Chandler, and Tiffany Shannon Eicher, during the course of committing the crimes charged in the complaint and information. The murder of Tiffany Shannon Eicher was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel in the following manner, to wit: Tiffany Shannon Eicher suffered serious physical abuse, torture, and pain prior to and during the course of her death at the hands of the defendant, and that she suffered mental anguish prior to her death as she heard intruders enter her home that she shared with her parents and began firing gunshots, striking and killing her parents, Jack Randall Chandler and Evelyn K. Chandler. The murder of Evelyn K. Chandler was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel in the following manner, to wit: Evelyn K. Chandler suffered mental anguish prior to her death as she heard the intruders enter her home that she shared with her husband, Jack Randall Chandler, and her daughter, Tiffany Shannon Eicher, as they began firing gunshots, striking and killing her husband, Jack Randall Chandler, as she attempted to hide from the intruders seeking refuge in her closet. The murders were committed for the purpose of avoiding arrest and prosecution for the following crimes, to wit: the Jack Randall Chandler and Evelyn K. Chandler were murdered by the defendant in order for her to avoid prosecution for the crime of murder, first degree, of Tiffany Shannon Eicher. There exists a probability that the defendant would commit criminal acts of violence that would constitute a continuing threat to society in the following manner, to wit: that prior to the murders of Jack Randall Chandler, Evelyn K. Chandler, and Tiffany Shannon Eicher, the defendant has demonstrated the defendant has demonstrated acts of violence. Further, the totality of the circumstances surrounding the crimes charged in the complaint and information demonstrates a blatant disregard for the sanctity of human life, and that at all times subsequent to the crimes charged in the complaint and information, the defendant's actions and statements evidence absolutely no regret or remorse for his crimes. Wherefore, the state of Oklahoma prays it be allowed to submit evidence of the foregoing aggravating circumstances to the court under either a plea or a verdict of guilty to the charges of murder in the first degree, so as to allow the court to consider sentencing the defendant to death as prescribed by law, and for such other and further relief to which the state of Oklahoma may be entitled. And then that's signed, okay? And okay, and then there's the, let's see here. This is the one for Barry Roland Titus, and it should be reading the same way. Great risk, yeah, the following murder was, yeah. So it's the exact same thing for Barry Titus. The pair are already in prison serving multi-year sentences for federal weapons charges. Okay, and here's a missing teen here. Urgent, Stone Mountain, Georgia. The DeKalb County Police are asking for the public's help in locating a missing teen, 13-year-old Terry Dawson, who was last seen on April 2nd near the 900 block of Millard Road in Stone Mountain. She's described as 5'6", 110 pounds, brown eyes, black hair. She was last seen wearing a white shirt, black pants, and a crossbody purse. If you see her or know where she might be, call the Special Victims Unit at 770-724-7610. 770-724-7610. So we have a Pittsburgh woman who's been jailed after her 2 young children are in critical condition after she allegedly stabbed them Friday morning. Police said that a man showed up at the Zone 2 station about 7 a.m. with his 3-year-old son who was suffering from stab wounds. Emergency medical personnel took the boy to the hospital when officers returned with the father to his home, where they found the 7-year-old son also stabbed. The boy was also taken to the hospital, and officers arrested 29-year-old Sydney Jefferson, the boy's mother, who reportedly confessed to stabbing them in the neck. The actions of the father probably saved the child's life in bringing him to the station as opposed to waiting to call someone to respond, said the Major Crimes Commander Richard Ford. Investigators say 2 other children were in the home, but neither were injured. They were taken to the hospital for evaluation. Neighbors said that they heard arguing early Friday morning and then screams for help. Police said they have had to respond to the home in the past. My family is hurt. My family is confused. My family is sad. Chrissy Griffin, the father's sister, said to the news station, I don't know what it would take a person to wake up at 6 in the morning and just start stabbing kids. Attorney Blaine Jones said that he is representing Jefferson and that he believes there is a mental health component to the case. I don't want to put the cart before the horse because I don't know what the evaluations will necessarily yield. Once we get those evaluations, we'll make a deliberate decision in terms of what we need to do next once we get those evaluations. I can tell you that Sydney has the support of her family, and that's why I'm here. Police said detectives found a knife on the floor in the home's second story and that Jefferson's dress had blood on it. They also say that at one point Jefferson left the house, called family members and told them, "My boys are gone," and then called police to turn herself in. She has been charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault, 2 counts of criminal attempted homicide, 2 counts of endangering the welfare of children, and 2 counts of recklessly endangering another person. It's unbelievable. Two women whose bodies were dumped at different Los Angeles hospitals last year died after overdosing on a fatal cocktail of drugs, including cocaine. Christy Giles, pictured right there, 24 years old, model, originally from Alabama, was abandoned on the sidewalk at Southern California Hospital in Culver City on November 13th, where she died a short time afterwards. 2 hours later, her friend Hilda Marcela Cabrales Arzola, an interior designer from Mexico, was left at Kaiser West, Los Angeles. She died on November 24th. In both instances, men in face masks were seen leaving the bodies at the hospital and driving away in a vehicle without license plates. This is the other woman. Now investigators believe they know how the women died. People recently received an official report of the death investigations from the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Coroner's Office, which ruled the deaths as homicides. Authorities listed Giles' cause of death as multiple drug intoxication. Tests detected multiple drugs in her system, including cocaine, ketamine, fentanyl, and gamma-hydroxybutyrate acid, GHB, which is commonly referred to as the date R drug. The report for Cabrales Arzola shows that she died from multiple organ failure and multiple drug intoxication. Tests found cocaine, MDMA, and other drugs in her system. Investigators believe that Giles and Cabrales Arzola overdosed on drugs while partying at a West Los Angeles apartment with a group of men they met earlier in the evening. Police have arrested 3 people in connection with the women's deaths: 40-year-old David Pierce, 42-year-old Brant Osborne, and 47-year-old Michael Ansbach. The men have admitted to taking the women home, but assert that Gillis and Cabrales Arzola voluntarily ingested drugs and overdosed. The men further allege that they sought medical care for the women immediately. Pierce, a self-proclaimed Hollywood producer, is charged with manslaughter. Authorities charged Osborne and Ansbach with accessory to manslaughter. In a separate case, prosecutors have also charged Pierce with forcible SA of an unconscious or sleeping person and SA with a foreign object. The charges reportedly related to the alleged SA of 4 women between 2010 and 2020. Oh my gosh, Jimmy.
Right, honey. The thing's not all the way open. You know how it does that. The other thing. Okay, now?
Yeah.
See it? The other thing ain't open all the way. So now maybe loud. You know what loud noise? They startled me and you.
Iowa police on Friday arrested a man, charged him with murder in the death of a 23-year-old woman who fell from a 3rd-story apartment balcony in February. The West Des Moines police said that they were called to the Sun Prairie apartment complex just before midnight on February 12th, where they found Tricia Coons on the ground outside. Officers began life-saving measures, and West Des Moines emergency personnel took Coons to a nearby hospital where she later died from her injuries. Detectives immediately launched an investigation in the incident, saying the apartment complex was extremely cooperative with the investigation. They arrested Nathan Cameron, 27, on Friday, charging him with first-degree murder, willful injury causing serious injury, domestic assault with strangulation, possession of marijuana with intent to deliver, and drug tax stamp violation. Police did not provide any further details nor say what the relationship was between Coons and Cameron. The conclusion was come to after a host of evidence such as forensic evidence, medical examinations, and search warrants conducted, says Sergeant Jason Heinz. He's being held on $1 million bond in the Dallas County Jail. A Michigan mother and son have been charged with the murder and the killing of the son's 20-year-old ex-girlfriend earlier this week in Flint. Flint Township Police say DeAndre Dwayne McLilly, 22, and Wendy Marie Weatherford, 47, were arraigned Friday on more than a dozen felonies each. They're charged in the fatal shooting of Alicia Jackson Skaggs on Tuesday. Police were called to a Golden Corral restaurant at about 8 p.m. on Tuesday for a shooting. They found a black sedan crashed into the restaurant's sign with a crowd of people surrounding it. Jackson Skaggs was in the passenger seat of the vehicle with another passenger trying to render aid. Jackson Skaggs was taken to the Hurley Medical Center where she was listed in critical condition, and she died from her injuries on Thursday. The incident began at another restaurant in Flint. Jackson Skaggs and two other people were in the black sedan when they saw a white SUV pull up behind them. Jackson Skaggs recognized the SUV as being associated with McLilly, who had a history of stalking and domestic violence against the victim, and the driver of the sedan tried to leave the area. Weatherford, who was driving the SUV, pulled into a position that allowed McLilly to fire 2 shots at the sedan before it fled the area at a high rate of speed. Weatherford and McLilly pursued until the sedan's driver believed that they had lost the pursuers and pulled into the Golden Corral parking lot. But then Weatherford pulled into the Golden Corral parking lot and stopped by the entrance. The sedan again tried to flee, and McLilly fired several more shots at the sedan, which crashed into the sign. Here's the son and his mother. Quite a pair. With the sedan disabled, one of the occupants realized that Jackson Skaggs had been struck in the head, while the other, seeing McLilly outside of the SUV, still taking aim at them, fired at him in self-defense. Those shots hit the SUV as McLilly ran through the parking lots of neighboring businesses until Weatherford picked him up. Witnesses provided descriptions of the suspects and the vehicle, and it was later located traveling southbound on Interstate 75 and stopped by Michigan State Police. Weatherford, still driving, was arrested, while McLilly got out of the SUV and fled. Officers pursued him on foot and eventually took him down. Investigators said they found 2 handguns in the SUV. McLilly and his mother, Weatherford, have been charged with first-degree premeditated murder, 5 counts of assault with intent to murder, 1 count of discharging a weapon from a vehicle, 2 counts of carrying a weapon with unlawful intent, 2 counts of carrying a concealed weapon, and 9 counts of felony firearm. McLilly also faces 2 more of felony firearm, as well as 2 counts of aggravated stalking and 2 counts of domestic violence. Police have asked anyone who may have witnessed the incident to contact Detective Alex Minto at 810-600 3250 or Crime Stoppers 1-800-422-JAIL. Police in Middle Tennessee have arrested a 21-year-old man on charges that he beat and stabbed his father to death and injured his mother. Murfreesboro police said they were called to the home just before 9 p.m. on Wednesday. When they arrived, they found Dejon Tyson standing over his father with something in his hand. Officers immediately rendered aid to the 54-year-old Perry Tyson, who had blunt force and stab wounds. Rutherford County Emergency Medical Services, however, pronounced him dead when they arrived. Dejon Tyson's 55-year-old mother is listed in stable condition at the hospital with non-life-threatening stab wounds. Police say 2 other people in the home at the time of the incident were not injured, and investigators have not determined a motive. Crazy. An Ohio woman who has twice disposed of her newborn children in garbage bags is claiming that at least one of them was stillborn. On Thursday, a lawyer for 51-year-old Gail Eastwood Ritchie said in opening statements that his client should be found not guilty on murder in connection with the death of one of the children. In March of 1993, a newspaper carrier discovered the body of a newborn boy outside Cleveland approximately 1 month after the baby had been born. Authorities allege that Eastwood Ritchie, then 22, dumped the child in the woods inside a garbage bag, and that animals later mutilated the body and dragged it to the road. The case had gone unsolved for decades until investigators used family DNA from a public genealogy website to locate the boy's relatives. Police eventually focused on Eastwood Ritchie, who admitted that she had given birth to the child. Eastwood Ritchie was arrested on June 19th and later charged with aggravated murder and murder. At the time of the child's death, the community had paid for the boy's funeral and headstone, which was marked Cayuga's child in recognition of the location in Cayuga County. Eastwood Ritchie's defense attorney, Stephen Bradley, told jurors Thursday that his client had given birth in the bathroom of a home in Shaker Heights, where she worked as a nanny. He disputed conclusions from the coroner that the child had been born alive and was breathing. Bradley told the court that Eastwood Ritchie placed the child in a garbage bag and then placed that bag in the car's trunk. After several days, she later drove a group of girls from her church to a weekend retreat and discarded the bag in the woods. I didn't know what to do, Eastwood Ritchie told investigators when they interviewed her about the case, according to a recording that was played at the trial. I put the baby in a bag. Eastwood Ritchie said she did not tell anybody about the pregnancy and did not know she was about to give birth when she went to the bathroom that day. She was reportedly afraid of what her family would think of her pregnancy. She was isolated and alone, Bradley told jurors. There was no one to confide in. She was alone with a group of people in her world that never saw her as pregnant. Neither did Gail. Eastwood Ritchie would later marry the father of the child, and they would have 3 children together, each of whom are now adults. At the time of her arrest, Eastwood Ritchie reportedly told police that 2 years before she abandoned the infant, she had given birth and disposed of another newborn's body. Authorities have not yet pursued charges in connection with that admission. Okay, Hope Solo, who was once the goalie for the U.S. women's national team, has been arrested in North Carolina. According to TMZ, the 40-year-old Solo was arrested Thursday in Winston-Salem for allegedly drunk driving and resisting arrest while her 2 children were in the car with her. Police arrested Solo in a Walmart parking lot near Parkway Ridge Village Circle. In addition to impaired driving, a DWI, and resisting arrest, she's facing a child abuse charge since her children were in her care at the time of her arrest. She has also faced legal issues previously after she allegedly told a police officer in 2014 that she would kick his arse. She was also arrested for domestic violence the same year. The charges were ultimately dismissed in 2018. Solo's counsel, Rick Nichols, said to TMZ that although Solo can't speak about the situation, there is more to the story than the initial reports suggest. On the advice of counsel, Hope can't speak about the situation, but she wants everyone to know that her kids are her life and that she was released immediately and is now home with her family. And the story is more sympathetic than the initial charges suggest, and that she looks forward to the opportunity to defend these charges. Hold on 1 minute. I've got to put my watch on the charger because it's completely dead here. 1 second. Right there. I'll be right there. I will be right there. Okay. Okay. And back. All right. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, let's see what this is about. Well, I don't know if we... Oscar Alejandro Hernandez, 29, was reported missing on March 16th. His body was found Thursday night in a remote area of the sprawling urban park, Griffith Park, with his dog by his side. This is a hiker that went missing 2 weeks ago. Found dead with his dog by his side. The family was there when the body was found. Hernandez was last seen near the park merry-go-round hiking trails, but there was no immediate word on the cause of his death. There is no reason to believe foul play was involved. That's weird, isn't it? That's very weird. Okay, and now we have Naomi Irion. The man was, Troy Driver was finally charged Friday with the death of the 18-year-old woman whose body was found in a remote area on Tuesday after she had been missing for weeks. Troy Driver, who had already been charged with her kidnapping, is now also charged with open murder with use of a deadly weapon, robbery, burglary, and destruction of evidence. A spokesperson for the Lyon County Sheriff's Office said the 41-year-old remains at the Lyon County Jail. Irion went missing on March 12th. She was last seen approximately 5 a.m. in the Walmart parking lot in Fernley, Nevada, wearing a blue Panasonic company shirt, a gray cardigan sweater, gray pants, and brown boots. Driver was arrested on kidnapping charges on March 25th. 4 days later, authorities found the remains of Naomi Irion in a remote part of the state, an impossible grave site. A day later, her remains were identified as positively Irion's. We would like to extend our sympathy and condolences to the Irion family and thank all the volunteers for their hard work in trying to find Naomi and bring closure to the family. So that's what they said when she was found, and so now he's charged with her murder. Okay, Alex Jones. Connecticut judge has denied a motion to halt financial penalties imposed on Alex Jones. As of Friday, the conspiracy theorist and right-wing provocateur owes $25,000 for declining to sit for a deposition in a defamation lawsuit by the families of Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre victims. Connecticut Superior Court Judge Barbara Bellis assessed the fine, which increases exponentially every day that Jones refuses to appear, and on Friday denied his motion for a stay. Jones appealed to the Connecticut Supreme Court. The defendant in this case is Alex Jones, and to many that is reason enough to uphold any fine or sanction. But the law, our law, is better than mere vendetta, defense attorney Norm Pattis wrote in the state Supreme Court appeal. Jones, founder of InfoWars, claimed the 2012 shooting in Newtown, Connecticut was a hoax. Families of those killed sued him for defamation, and Jones failed to comply with court orders to appear at a deposition on March 23rd and 24th. In November, Bellis found Jones liable for damages by default because Jones and his companies, like InfoWars, showed callous disregard for the rules of discovery. She previously faulted the InfoWars host for failing to comply with requests for documents and other procedures. Jones's attorney said he can sit for a 2-day deposition, April 11th and 12th, and that would make his running fine $525,000, Pattis said. Jones and others are sued for comments they made denying that the shootings at the Sandy Hook Elementary School in December of 2012 took place. For many Connecticut residents, that is reason enough to hate Jones. One suspect, Judge Bellis, has succumbed to that hatred, Pattis wrote. Plaintiff's attorney, Christopher Mattei, argued successfully to keep the fines in place, saying a promise to appear April 11th is not the same as a real-life attendance at the deposition. The escalating fines were imposed to compel his appearance and should not be set aside merely because Mr. Jones has yet again said he will appear. 20 children and 6 staff members died in the December 14th, 2012 shooting at Newtown School, Connecticut School, at the hands of gunman Adam Lanza. Let's see. Okay, I think that's, see if that's gonna be. Oh, wait. Wait a minute. Okay. Hang on 1 second, let me just. Okay. Lumberton, North Carolina, a registered S offender who was also out of prison on parole has been charged with murder in the case of missing medical worker from Fayetteville. Michael Brayboy, 42, was charged with the death of Jessica Lawrence, 42, of St. Paul's. The Robeson County Sheriff's Office said in a news release on Friday, this senseless, cowardly murder of an innocent woman was gruesome in nature and no one deserved this treatment, Robeson County Sheriff Bernice Wilkins said. North Carolina deputies reported multiple searches for the woman missing after leaving her Fayetteville job last month. Lawrence, a mother, was last seen October 12th when she was leaving her job at Cape Fear Valley Medical Center in Fayetteville. However, officials later said she was last seen at her home on 175 Coy Road in St. Paul's on September 26th, and deputies and the North Carolina Search and Rescue team conducted searches throughout the county. On October 14th, Lawrence's vehicle was located in the area of NC 710 near Red Springs. A body was found in Robeson County and it was identified as the missing woman who worked at the Fayetteville Hospital. 9 days later, a body was found in the woods along Tom M. Road in Rowland, and the body was later confirmed as Lawrence. There is a flaw somewhere in the system that allowed this man to walk amongst the innocent, and something must be done, Wilkins said in a news release. Brayboy is charged with first-degree murder, burning of personal property, concealing a death, altering, destroying evidence, larceny of a vehicle, financial card theft, obtaining property by false pretense, felony larceny, and felony conspiracy. Brayboy was initially arrested in October while driving the 2019 Jeep Grand Cherokee that belonged to Lawrence. Brayboy was charged then with failing to report a change of address as an S offender, and he is being held without bond. Okay. I'm going to say that's going to be it right now. We'll go back to the chat. Okay, so how about, hold on a second because we have a little bit. I'm going to say how about some let's look at some different kind of news. Let's look. I'm trying to find some different stuff. Wow, there's like nothing. Okay, let's try this. Okay, this is couples that have behaved inappropriately in interviews, celebrity couples. And the first one that they give us is 1988, Mike Tyson and Robin Givens in an interview with Barbara Walters. They got very intimate about their relationship. Givens described Tyson as manic depressive. She said that the marriage was torture, pure hell, worse than anything she could have imagined. It's sad to listen to her describe how he treats her, because no man should ever treat a woman that way, but it's also incredibly awkward that she calls him out while she sits right next to him. And we have Madonna. It was 1994. She was first greeted by David Letterman during an appearance on his talk show. She sneakily shook his hand, passing off her underwear or a pair of underwear to him. Right from the start, she called him a sick F, but in a playful way, acknowledging the fact that he's always asking about her sex life. In 1995, Princess Diana gave a eye-popping interview with BBC journalist Martin Bashir. She was discussing her issues with bulimia and postpartum depression. The princess also revealed that she knew about Prince Charles and Camilla's affair, and even talked about her own love affair with her riding instructor James Hewitt. She and Charles were divorced a year later. And then after that, we have Drew Barrymore. During an interview on The Late Show with David Letterman, Barrymore jumped on David Letterman's desk and she began dancing erotically. Then out of nowhere, she quickly flashed him her breasts. Apparently it was Letterman's birthday, and Barrymore said that was her present to him. Courtney Love, 1995. She decided to interrupt Madonna's MTV VMA interview by throwing her makeup compact at her. Interviewer Kurt Loder invites Love on stage, and even though Madonna says no, don't, it all goes downhill from there. Like when Love says Madonna is mean to her, or that she wants to quit music and be a candy striper. David Letterman show is really popping. Farrah Fawcett discussed her prior college aspirations, which included doing abstract art paintings using parts of her body. I have to tell you, I did the most incredible gluteus maximus ever. Then she got a little more intimate with the details, saying it's very expressive. It's round and then it has movement. It's unclear whether she was talking about her own butt or not. But Letterman really enjoyed cracking jokes about it. In 1999, Monica Lewinsky gave a bombshell of an interview to Barbara Walters describing the intimate relationship she had with President Bill Clinton. I thought he was my sexual soulmate, she said. I think you allow yourself to open up that way, and things happen. She goes on for 2 hours discussing her flirtations with the president and how the two ended up in bed together. In 2001, the magician David Blaine, known for his stunt performances, like the time he stood on a 22-foot tall pillar in New York City, surrounded by a system of coils that sent 100 million volts of electricity at him. But in a 2001 interview, he was far from exciting when he said that he's probably going to die from his next stunt. "I'm left to do it on my own, and the problem with that is that I'll probably die," he said in a monotone. "I don't think people understand the danger with this next one." And during the entire interview, Blaine's attitude is very off-putting. I don't think he died then, did he? Ben Affleck in 2004 had an interview with Anne-Marie Losk of the Canadian TV series Box Office, and it's confusing, frustrating, and inappropriate. To start with, Anne-Marie is sitting on his lap, and he's acting drunk, problematically speaking to her in a French accent similar to her own. The video recently resurfaced, and people suggested that Affleck was manhandling her, but she insisted everyone was taking their actions out of context. I can't believe the one that I'm thinking of didn't make it yet. As Oprah describes how intensely private Cruise used to be before he was dating Katie Holmes, he dramatically jumps up on the couch to profess his love for her. This might have been a little over the top, especially since he put his shoes all over Oprah's couch. It was certainly a different side of Tom Cruise. In a case of someone getting a little too cocky on live television, Jerry Seinfeld in 2007, in an interview with Larry King on CNN, the host questions whether Seinfeld canceled the show or whether the network canceled him, and Seinfeld is offended. He makes it very clear that he had 75 million viewers and that he decided to quit. Seinfeld can't seem to let it go and continually interrupts King while he's trying to go on a commercial break. I don't think I saw that one. Jason Segel and Paul Rudd in 2009 were talking about their newest movie, I Love You Man. Segel and Rudd were very subtle, but not, they gave a subtle but not too subtle hint that they were both stoned. At the beginning of the interview, they go back and forth naming other movies with bromance storylines, and everything they name happens to have the word stone in it. Then they start talking about Segal's imaginary friend and can't stop laughing. During a morning interview with two Seattle news anchors, it becomes obvious in 2009 that Paula Abdul is drunk. At first, it seems like it's just faulty audio, but when she finally does start responding to their questions, her words are slurred, her answers don't make sense. The anchors know something was up. They did their best to keep it professional and on track. In 2010, an interview 4 years after Mel Gibson received a DUI. He had a reporter ask him if he thought the public would perceive him differently now, and Mel Gibson was outraged by the question, and the reporter could tell, and after wrapping up the interview, Gibson calls the interviewer an a-hole. Oops, what happened? Hold on. Okay. 2011, interviewer Joy Behar showed a clip of her talking with Alice Cooper about the potential 5,000 women that Simmons has been with. After the clip, Behar jokes, "How's your back, Gene?" And he answers with a joke, "My back is very good. My schmeckle, not so much." Tweed got really annoyed at his comment. She hit Simmons' arm and walked out of the interview. Justin Bieber. In 2012, so many things went wrong. When Bieber's phone interview with Mojo in the Morning, first the interviewer offends Justin by saying that he thought his new music sounded like Justin Timberlake. Then he asks, "Do you worry about Harry Styles of One Direction around your mom, since he likes older women?" Very upset by the question, Justin responds, "I think you should worry about me around your mom, bro." And then that was all it took for Bieber to hang up the phone and end the interview. Sacha Baron Cohen, 2012. He was attempting to be funny. Cohen was dressed like his character from the movie The Dictator at the 2012 Oscars. And during his interview with Ryan Seacrest, he stays in character, talking in an accent, which is already crossing a line close to it. He makes it worse when he spills an urn he claims is filled with Kim Jong-un's ashes all over Seacrest. Whether it was on purpose or not, this was a red carpet moment they will both remember forever. Don't really remember that. Kanye West, 2013, during a radio talk show. Kanye goes on a rant about the meaning behind his song, "I Am a God." After talking about classism and racism, he says, "We've got this other thing that's also been working for a long time where you don't have to be a racist anymore. It's called self-hate." He continues, "It works on itself. It's like real estate of racism, where just like that, when someone comes up and says, 'I am God,' everyone says, 'Who does he think he is?' It seems like he's been asked one too many times why he thinks he's a god." Time is it? How are we doing on time? Oh, almost there. Quentin Tarantino in 2013, an interview about his movie Django Unchained, reporter Krishnan Guru Murthy asked Tarantino about the real-life implications of violence the movie portrays, and Tarantino gets very defensive, repeatedly saying, "It's just a movie, and it's just fantasy." When the reporter continues to press him on the issue, saying it's his job to ask these hard questions, the film director refuses to answer and says, "I'm shutting your B down." I don't know what that word is. That doesn't even make a proper. Okay, and I think this is the last one we're going to do because these are not so great. Mark Wahlberg in 2013 on The Graham Norton Show confesses that he's a little drunk. "Why would you allow people to drink alcohol and come on a show?" he asked the host. He keeps it together for a while, but eventually he ends up sitting on Norton's lap and rubbing his chest seductively. Whether this was all for show or not, Wahlberg's behavior definitely was not appropriate interview etiquette. Let's see if there's anything else that's... going to stop that now. I'm going to get rid of all these now and go back to the chat. Oh gosh, I almost exited everything out. Hi, Joe Masaki. Hi, everybody. Hi, Maybe. Hi, Debbie L. Scooter, Sad Fishing, Real. Hello there. Hi, Earth Angel. It's Bink. Needs some room in the Sad Fishing boat. Dina Elizabeth. Janae Ann, I'm going to refund your money right now because I am not commingling anything, okay? If we collect the money, it's going to be in a separate account for the trip. It is definitely not going to be commingled. Not doing that. That gives me severe anxiety. So I'm going to log in right now, and I hope that you sent it friends and family, because if you didn't, then I'm going to pay to send it back to you. But let's see. So, and okay, I'm going to refund this to you now. Let me see. Good, you sent it, and I'm just going to refund this back to you. Because it's going to go in its own thing if that's what's going on. Okay, let me just make sure that this is going to be original payment, amount remaining, total refund. That's the total, okay. Fee refund policy, what does that mean? Refunds, reversals, payments that are invalidated or reversed. You lose a PayPal protection claim, okay. Dispute fees, chargeback fees. Okay. Well, you know, shouldn't be any fees on this one. Issue refund. Okay. View the refunded transaction. Okay, 350, 350. All right. All right, so that is done. Yeah, okay. So let me go back to the chat now. Foxy in the boxy. Foxy in the boxy. How are you, Foxy in the boxy? Hi, Daniel C. Heart Made Wise. Foxy in the boxy. All right, we're going to be changing. I've got to put the redirect on in about 9 minutes. We're going to go to the next live. It's going, I'm just going to customize it so it just will take you there. Oh gosh, who did that? It should be subscribers only. Sorry, if you're not a subscriber, it's going to kick you out. I'm so sorry. Sorry about that. That should always be on. I don't know how that is not on there. Okay, that's not good. Redirect. We'll go in there. Save. And hello, Tammy. Hello, LMW. What was the violent movie? Let me show you. The reason I was laughing so hard in Scooter's thing and nobody understood it was like, say this is my phone and then this is your keypad here, like that comes up on the screen with your letters. I could go like this and it was just swiping. I was just making all kinds of crazy things and it was making sentences that were really ridiculous and I thought it was funny. It was like a Mad Libs, like it read like a Mad Libs. And then some people got freaked out and it was just a game. I've been a little upset today and stuff and I was laughing like crazy. I thought it was so funny. I don't know. Hair. I've got to color my hair so badly. I never get it done. I got to do it. I was going to do it today and then where's Scooter? You thought it was funny? It was meant to be funny. I was having a good time. I don't know. It was funny. It was just weird. It kept making it kept saying certain words. Like, it was hysterical. It was saying things about like Russia, and then I don't know. It was just funny. I thought it was funny. You know you can't have fun here. I know. Got to go to the next one. Did you know that Scooter was crying right before that? Did I know that Scooter was crying right before that? No, I had started that before that, Karen. Okay. I was worried, but yes, it was funny. It was just funny. It read like Mad Libs. Surprised. I think it was something in the story LMW. Made Scooter laugh. Yeah, it did. Uh-huh. Everybody's got to lighten up a little bit. My gosh. You were confused but not worried. It was weird because it was just making weird words and I was like, okay. Yeah, Marianne Frontini. We finally got Kubi's present open and she sent me some napkins because we decided to trade napkins when I sent out her last thing. I don't know if you got the extra. I don't know if that one went to you yet, but I sent her extra napkins. She sent me napkins. We swapped napkins. That was the most incredible package to open. Okay, what time is it? Okay, it's almost ready to switch gears. In the meantime, I'm going to put the number in Slack so I have that. And Where's Slack? Do, 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 do. Okay. Let's see. What is Sharon talking about? Oh, never mind. I know what we're doing. I thought never mind. I thought she said she couldn't get into Zoom last night. Never mind. I'm going crazy. It's okay. All right. What did you just start on Hulu? That woman looks like somebody I know. All right, I tried to start something on Hulu today, and the story of my life didn't happen. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get us out of here and get us into the next one. Just please hold on to the handrails, as you will